Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks, y'all. So the first time I tried to record this, actually a few times, I had to stop it because I could hear the leaves rustling and moving around. Well, I turned my light and I kind of just waited for whatever it was to pass and to kind of get closer, and it was an armadillo. So I looked up on my phone the meaning of armadillo, and it talks about new beginnings, but it also talks about the need to kind of armor up and protect yourself physically and spiritually. And I believe that is in direct alignment with this reading. I actually have protection in the center of the reading. And so the reading begins with a friendship. And I say friendship loosely because this is somebody who was like a hater. This is somebody who specifically came in. Okay, this is somebody that came in and they were really trying to rob you. Now, you have wisdom, okay? You have wisdom. They didn't know you had wisdom because right now they're sitting with their head in the clouds, meaning they're kind of self-reflecting and they're thinking about what they did. And the only reason why they're thinking about what they did is because they were unsuccessful. You're healed, you're at peace, you're content, you're resting, and you're very relaxed. And so whatever they attempted to steal from you, it could have been something physical, right? They could have stolen time. They could have stolen resources or energy. Maybe they wanted to steal your reputation by exploiting you in some way. But this person is kind of confused because you didn't respond like that you were supposed to respond. This is somebody that you were supposed to meet as long as you were still on the karmic path. Now, we are always learning, but there are some lessons that we have to continue to receive until we learn them. I don't think we're ever not learning, but the karmic path is almost like, all right, I need you to take that class again because you didn't get a passing grade. And so I want you to think about the relationships, the friendships that you had with people from the ages of 12 and 20, specifically 12 and 20, because that is when our third eye chakra was developing. When that chakra develops, we have the ability to self-reflect, and we can also develop our intuition, which means you could be in front of somebody who says they're your friend, but everything you're feeling inside of you is reading this person entirely differently. So this is somebody who wants to come in and they want you to revisit a wounded version of yourself, right? And so if they're coming in and they're attempting to attack your solar plexus chakra, think about 12 to 20, ages 12 to 20. Think about the relationships that you had, the ones that made you have low self-esteem. Think about the relationships that made you feel like you really didn't have worth or you really didn't have value. This person would have been a reflection of all of those experiences bundled up in one. And so if you healed from that, which you did, if you healed from those exchanges, this is somebody who wanted to kind of open the wound. They wanted to make it fresh again. The only reason why they wanted to make it fresh is because they wanted to dominate or control aspects of you. They were really coming to control your light, your ability to see clearly and correctly. Now, this person is sitting in the energy of robbing you, but the robbery goes unsuccessful. Now, it's almost like they're wanting to come back in, and I have the energy of merit making. They want to act as if they have some type of morality. There is some type of goodness that dwells inside of them. Now, we're going to look at this two ways. Either they're coming in with their tail between their legs because they didn't successfully achieve what it was, but I also have the energy of the devil and puppeteer. And so this person may say that the only reason why they behave that way with you is because they were under some type of demonic control. In addition to that, there is a karmic connection in Furia. So this person may have recognized, like, in another relationship that they were in while they were a friend to you, that relationship, which was a karmic connection, was dominating them some kind of way in order to get them to treat you disrespectfully, in order to get them to rob you. So it's almost like they were somebody's puppet on a string. And so if they speak to you harshly, it was because they were being controlled. If they were coming in to rob, steal, kill, and destroy, it was because they were being controlled. Now, whether or not that is true, I don't know. But no matter what, whatever they attempted to do to you by way of re-wounding your solar plexus chakra, that was unsuccessful. One of my handmade cards, it says, how you treat those who mistreat you reveals your emotional and spiritual maturity. And so this is somebody that wanted to control you because they already understood some type of wound that you possessed. my favorite handmade card for this deck so far. This is how the reading begins. It says, if you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes you to get off, the more costly the return trip is. So two things. Either you got into this friendship and you're like, this is a wrong train. I don't need friends like this, right? I can be my worst. I can do bad all by myself. So I'm not going to pick up a friend that makes me feel bad about who I am, that makes me feel small, that doesn't want to see me grow. Like, I'm not going to pick up a hater and call it a friend. So either you got into this friendship and you were like, I got to get off this train. The longer I stay with you in this relationship, the more damaged I will be. Or if that is not what you did, this person may say, you know, I recognized too late that I was under some type of possession. Something else was controlling me. You know, I was on this train. I was behaving this way because I was being controlled or dominated by a lesser or a lower energy. And so the way I treated you, like I'm no longer on that train, but I understand the cost that I have to pay based on the things that I did to you. Two different scenarios. So either they are going to take accountability for what they did by recognizing it, or they are going to say, hey, I was under the control of something else that I didn't know was karmic. I was in a karmic connection elsewhere, and this is why I treated you and spoke to you to the way I did. So right now, this person is lacking protection, and they're also sitting in the energy of illness. This is somebody who comes at you with a sword but ends up falling on it. You have a level of protection. Let me go ahead and start clarifying. Y'all, it's cold again. I got my heater on. We'll start clarifying. So the first card I'm going to clarify, it says, if you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes, the more costly the return trip is. And so we have mystical cat, feline spirit energy, intuition, magic, divine being, fortune, wards off evil. And so you are the divine being, and you were essentially the mark. This person comes in to steal something from you. It could have been a variety of things. And I think you recognize this friendship is bad news. And it's really because of who you are and the supernatural or spiritual gifts that you possess. You were like, I got to get off this train. Like, even if you recognize that there is a sickness that dwells inside that person, just being attached to them allows them to feed off of you. And so they can only feed off of you as long as you are connected to them, right? The quicker you disconnect from them, the less you have to replenish your own energy source. The next card I'm going to clarify, it talks about from ages 12 to 20, your third eye chakra is developing its wisdom. And so the psychological themes of developing your wisdom, it's like your ability to self-reflect and to recognize that everything you see is not really what it is. Your intuition is a whole nother language that you have the ability to develop. Alrighty. I got too many cards. This is coming out with, and so we have pleasant message and good news. So this is almost what's happening in you. At the same time that somebody is attempting to rob, kill, steal, destroy, or just obliterate you with like their words. This is really about somebody who was using their words in order to open wounds again. It's almost like your intuition is like, hey, we've done this before. Remember when you were 12, 13, 14, 15, remember when we met this person, or a parent spoke to us this like, remember, we've done this before. So we don't have to stay here too long. Also, we love ourselves. We understand our value. We understand our self-esteem. We understand our self-worth. And so we don't really entertain these relationships anymore. I feel like if your intuition was to be leaving you a message while you were entertaining a connection with this person, it would have been texting you beautiful messages about self. Now, there was a period in time where in life you could have been in these kind of relationships, and everything that they said to you, it was just being soaked up. You were believing it, you were feeling it to be true, you were living it, your emotions were all wrapped up. But it's almost like because you've developed, because you're self-aware, you have the ability to self-reflect, it's like every time they said something awful, intuitively something would surface that would almost counter what they've said to you. The next card I pull is going to clarify. The next time you feel worthless, ask yourself if you're just in the wrong place. There could have been periods of time where when you started to feel like you didn't have value, you didn't have self-esteem, or your ego wasn't healthy, you didn't have a level of willpower or confidence, you could have internalized, right? I had the card recently, and it said my worth is not determined by people's inability to see me. Well, for a period of time, the way people see us, speak to us, and treat us, we really think that that is our identity. But this says, listen, when I start to feel less than, when I start to feel small, and I know I'm not small, I must be in the wrong room. I must be around the wrong people. I have a card here to clarify you being in the wrong place. It says adjust the posture, align, balance chakras, breathe. And so you had already straightened your chakras out. And so whatever the plan was, whatever this attack was, it wasn't going to work because nothing about your energy was distorted. All of your energy, your wheels, they were all flowing properly. Like you had already gone in and fine-tuned your energy centers. And so this is like somebody trying to rob a place that they thought was unarmed, or they tried to rob a place that they felt like did not have security. But you were more than protected. The next card, it says, how you treat those who mistreat you reveals your emotional and spiritual maturity. And though this could have been the relationship, you're like, boy, I have grown, right? Because listen, even if people disrespect you and treat you in a very nasty way, sometimes the way you respond to them also reveals your level of maturity. Like if you get down there in the dirt with them and now you're both dirty. So even though you didn't necessarily believe the things they said about you, just the level of emotion that they could get from you, it's almost like they still won because they got to abstract a lot of energy from you. So now on top of this, we have love spell. So the reason why this was necessary, this is like somebody knowing, this is why I say it was a mark or a target. All of this was about kind of conditioning the mind, conditioning the emotions, and conditioning the spirit of you. But when I have the energy of the Sun card, it's like you already understood, right? People are essentially speaking certain things over you because they want it to seep inside of you. They want you to believe it. And the thing, when somebody physically hits you, you're healed, maybe not emotionally or spiritually, but like when you look at a physical wound, like you can watch its process of healing. But words, you don't know where they stick. You don't know how long they linger. You don't know where they've traveled to inside your psyche. And so all of this was a part of a love spell. But I also am going to say either this person, right, because there's two scenarios, either they are going to say they themselves were under some kind of demonic love spell where they are being controlled to kind of mistreat you, or the true intention was for them to kind of possess you with a demonic spell. And so the way to do it was to abuse you, was to open up those wounds. It was to get your emotions, to get you emotionally open. Even if you don't believe, even if you know everything they said is a damn lie, as long as you are open emotionally and you're mad and you're angry, it's like you were open, and now they can attach anything they need to attach to you in order to control and dominate. The next and final card I'm going to clarify with this deck, it says, if you can do great things, if you can't do great things, do small things in a great way. A beautiful transformation is coming. And so whatever the love spell was that was supposed to dominate and control you, it was unsuccessful. You're coming out as somebody who is healed, somebody who is at peace. This person is coming out as somebody who is sick, and they also kind of want to apologize, but I don't think there's any accountability in this. And I feel like in this relationship, this was a karmic connection. So for a period of time, not that you believed, like still there had to be some type of energetic pull. Like, if this was a lesson, if this was something that you had to revisit just to make sure you passed the exam this time, let's say this was a class you had to take for 3 weeks or 3 months. Even for the duration of that class, if you couldn't do something big in order to break or sever this cord, I feel like you did all the little things right. And so every time they say something, I feel like internally you were countering what they were doing. I feel like, so if they do something negative to you, you go and you cleanse your energy, right? And so even if you couldn't boldly make it known. I know this is a karmic lesson. I know what you're doing. It's like you did all those little things right. And so now here comes this big transformation, in order to kind of like, this is your reward. This is the fact that you passed an exam, and it's almost like you're about to get a reward. This could have been a situation where you had to be very patient, right? Because just as much as it's a learning moment for you, this is a learning moment for them. And some people are going to try and try and try and try until the class is over. You're like, okay, class is over, I gotta go. You move on to healing. You've got this level of protection because you got off of the train. Listen, and the longer that we stay in relationships that don't really reflect our true value, it diminishes our protection. We are putting ourselves in harm's way and then still thinking that our protection is going to show up full force. The way you protect yourself is by choosing wisely. If when I'm standing opposite you, I feel like I have no worth and value, then the first way you protect yourself is with the quality of your choices. Is it a quality choice to be in a relationship with you if I feel small and less than? No. So now when I'm outside of a relationship and when I disconnect and I sever that cord, now when you come to me, but I've already established a boundary, now you got to pay for everything you do. But as long as my doors and my gates are open and I'm welcoming you in, even though you're disrespectful, it's almost like your protection is like, well, your choice. The power of your mind is your first form of defense. That is your first protection. All right, so now I'm going to use Intuitive Kev's Kipperish deck in order to clarify. So the first card I'm going to clarify is Wisdom. And Wisdom in this deck is really the Hierophant card. And so you could have been a Hierophant. This person is now learning the type of spiritual rank or the spiritual knowledge. And the Hierophant is giving me the energy of like, I've been there, I've done that before, right? I got a t-shirt, I got a bumper sticker, I got a shot glass. Like, let me show you how many times I've crossed paths with people like you. Let me explain to you why it was so easy for me to move beyond you and to just go heal myself. And so it's like somebody coming to a Hierophant thinking that they can scratch your wounds, but you were an entire teacher. Like, you can teach people a class on haters, on friends that really are coming in to kind of wound you emotionally because they don't want to see you evolve beyond them. So you're a Hierophant. Somebody didn't know. They attempt to try a trick that they've tried maybe on multiple people. And they end up being in this energy of feeling sick, diseased, weak, or frail, or whatever this is. All right, I'm getting too many cards. And so we have travel. Now for this one, the energy or the number on the travel card is 10. And so 1 is a beginning and 0 is a cycle. And so I think one of the reasons why this person is a little bit confused is because it's almost like they got their head up in the clouds about how did you begin a new cycle? Like, I attempted to trap you into a version. I attempted to trap you into a timeline, and I don't understand how you were able to essentially jump into a whole new frequency. I was feeding you this and you jumped over here, not knowing that you were a Hierophant, not knowing that you carried wisdom. How did you get the wisdom? Well, I have knowledge of people like you, right? Not only do I have the knowledge, but I've already applied all of the things that I've known in the relationships that I've been in prior to getting to you. So when you come, although this is a karmic repeat, it's a karmic lesson, maybe I don't necessarily need to learn the lesson. Or maybe your lesson was, how quickly can you get off of the train, right? Now, the last time you met somebody like this with a poisonous tongue, maybe you stayed in a relationship with them for 3 years. And then the next time you only stayed a year. And then the next time you're like 6 months, I gotta go. Maybe this person you're like 9 months and I'm out. And so maybe it's about how quickly can you get off of these trains, right? That could have been your lesson. The next card I'm going to clarify is solar plexus. That is about your willpower. So we have priestess, right? But this also comes out with your third eye. You know, these relationships, these friendships, They strengthen your intuition, because your intuition from the moment you meet these people is going to be speaking to you and revealing things to you, right? And so let's say your intuition, your ability to self-reflect and trust self, maybe it didn't develop as strongly as it needed to, ages 12 to 20, because of the things that you endured. But now when you meet this person, it's almost like you have an opportunity to go back to certain chakras in order to fine tune them, right? And so when these people come, it's like, yeah, you got to take the class again, but it won't last you a year this time. You can take it real quick by trusting what you're feeling inside. And so you are a priestess. You are somebody who's coming out of the priestess, somebody who has an entirely different language for how they see the world. And the way you see the world, you have no words. It's about sensations. It's about reading body language. It's about nonverbal cues, right? You decode everything with ease. The next card that comes out is going to clarify choose wisely. I got 2 cards. Choose wisely in traditional tarot is like the 7 of Cups. And this is about choosing emotions wisely, right? Now we have the evil eye. And so somebody's not so happy that you made the correct choice. And so now they're evil eyeing. Now they're, oh, okay. So not only did you navigate past them, right? And so now they want to come in and apologize for what they've done. Now this could be, no. Now they're evil eyeing you because they didn't like your choices. So if you made it past them, what next choices are you going to make? Which is why the reading ends essentially with a beautiful transformation coming. Like, let's just say there were a series of small classes that you had to take in order to strengthen aspects of your spiritual gifts and intuition, right? Your third eye was like, oh, we could be better. We could be stronger. I'm going to send you a couple hitters. I'm going to send you in a couple of people. They're going to try to do something to you, but they're not going to be successful. But the impact of them being in your energy, it's going to strengthen you in some kind of way, right? And so at the same time you leveled up, somebody else is pissed off that you leveled up. So now they're evil eyeing everything that you do. They're evil eyeing the fact that you adjusted your posture. Like your entire body read them as being false, as being wrong, as being unfit to be in your energy field. And so they're kind of mad at that. They're mad that you recognize that they wanted you to feel like you had no worth or value. And so you just adjusted your posture. You got into alignment. You did what you had to do to restore your energy. And so now they're mad that you made the correct choice. But they're also mad because they're weak and they're ill. So now I get the energy of the boss. So you are a boss. You are coming out for this reading. You are the boss. You are somebody who is in control and cannot be controlled. Now on this card, you have the number 8, but it's 88 2 times. In numerology, 8 is the number of the mogul. It is the CEO. This is the manager, right? And so the first thing you'll ever manage is your own vessel, right? The way you do anything is how you do everything. And so if you can manage your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotions like this, then how can you manage a business? How will you manage a family? How would you know what I mean? So the way you show up and manage self is a reflection of how you can manage many other things. And so the reason why you are a boss is because you carry a certain level of enlightenment. Your crown chakra is tapped in. You're like, oh, I know you're here to dominate my emotions. I know you got a demonic attachment. I know you vibrate low. I know you're just kind of some dark karmic soulmate, and I recognize that you're only doing this because you kind of want to put me under some type of emotional trance. If I let you get inside of me, you're going to impact my heart chakra. When you impact my heart chakra, all of a sudden the universe can't hear or sense the things that I truly want and value because I'm too wounded to energetically match the things that are in alignment for me. And so you're really coming to get me out of alignment so that I can enjoy the life that I'm supposed to enjoy. Right? And so, yes, you're mistreating me, but watch how I respond to you. I'm going to respond to you like a spiritual G, right? Which is going to reflect your maturity. Maybe you couldn't do this 5 years ago. Maybe you couldn't do this ages 12 to 20. Maybe this version of you is somebody that you were even surprised about based on the things that you used to endure. All right, the final card I pull is going to clarify patience. Now, patience is... it's the 14th card in tarot. I'm sorry if I can't think about what is the 14th card, y'all. I don't know. But patience is pretty much the energy that sometimes you have to let cycles pass. You plant the seed and then you got to wait for it to grow so that you can harvest the seed. And so this could have been a situation, okay? So this could have been a situation where, like I said, maybe you couldn't get away in a big way. Like maybe you had to methodically take, every day you take one step back, you pull back a little bit of energy, Like maybe you had to be very thoughtful and careful about how you withdrew your energy from this relationship. Now we have the energy of legal. So somebody is evil eyeing you because you're a boss. You're a boss because you are a boss over your mind. You're a boss over you're in control of your vessel. There's no love spell. There's no domination magic. There's nothing that can be done to control you. So now they're mad. And they're only mad because of you've gotten yourself into some type of alignment and they can't get you misaligned. Now, when I say legal, maybe this person listen, there are consequences for this type of behavior. And so this person, they're furious because you're going through some type of beautiful transformation. But I also feel like they did something illegal. Now, obviously, spiritually, they have to pay for this. This was some type of crime. But you know what? I feel like our ancestors almost allow these things to unfold because it's not only a lesson for you, right? Clearly, you passed. There was this person had no success. All it did was reveal to you how much you have matured. Now, the old you probably would have got down right there with them, right? Although you knew what they said wasn't true, maybe the way you responded, maybe the energy that you gave to them, maybe it would have come back just as heavy and just as hot. But now you're just like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to let you sit over there with that, right? And so there's some type of legal repercussion. And maybe that's why you had to be patient. Maybe you knew like, well, you're going to pay for this. Well, you can't talk to me like this. Maybe you never said that. Maybe you just had to play the game and let it play, right? And so now here comes the outcome. Now somebody's got to pay. Somebody's got to pay. All right, y'all. So that's the reading, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.